Okay, it's day 77. This is going to be part 4 or 5. So here we are at the White House. Now, interesting March 2015. March 2015, the 12th, March 2015, on the 12th. Now, on the 8th, if you don't remember, there's this chatter going back and forth between Podesta and Neera Tanden. Neera Tanden's kind of like the social justice warrior for John Podesta. And there's sending back and forth, emails back and forth. Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? What were they looking for was who leaked this information about the Clinton Foundation and what the Clinton Foundation was doing. And what they leaked was names. They were changing names back and forth. And Podesta puts the first name forward saying, I think it's Eric Braverman. Then Neera Tanden comes back and says, well, it says the person has been there a long time. And then Podesta comes back and says, well, maybe Ira Magaziner or Doug Band, okay? Those are longtime bills in the Clinton Foundation versus the new kind of hoity-toity hills that are trying to take over the Clinton Foundation. Okay, so that's the backdrop. 4 days before, they're looking for who is the leak. Now, we know from the DNC leaks, what they normally do is bring in CrowdStrike. They bring in CrowdStrike to look at a situation. We don't know if CrowdStrike came into this situation or not. But what they normally try to do is identify what computer sent the information, and they do a deep down dive on all the email and all the text that person's been sending. The only people that can order that up, since we've seen from Fusion GPS and we've seen from the FBI, is Andy McCabe. Andy McCabe is that man working with Peter Strzok, right? Or Peter Strokes, or Peter Stroke, however you want to say it. So it's important to establish that link to the Strokes, because he's there everywhere Andy is when there's a deep dive to be done. Now, it's interesting that 4 days later, after this polemic, time at the White House, right, and between the Podesta group, that 2 of Peter Strzok's relatives are summoned to the Situation Room on the 12th, 4 days later. So it doesn't seem like a pleasure trip that they're coming to Washington, D.C. The meeting is at 9:45 at night downstairs in the Situation Room. A gal by the name of Usler, who is the Coast Guard head of Situation Room situations in the White House, is hosting them there, 9:45 at night, 4 days later after Peter Strzok is called in to do these deep dives. So hopefully, Devin Nunes, when he sees all these texts next week from Peter Strzok, he should see a lot of activity around the 12th, around the 10th, around the 9th, around the 11th, okay? So they should be looking for those, and they should publish those. So they come here. Who else is in the meeting? Well, first of all, I believe it's going to be Peter Strzok's son, is named Devin, with an E, Devin. Devin is in the Coast Guard. He's kind of moves from Corpus Christi in the Coast Guard to then San Diego and so forth. His wife is also in the Navy. She's a Navy nurse assigned to, guess what? Walter Reed Navy Hospital. So she's now in San Diego with him, obviously his wife, but they're moving around. She's originally from Memphis. So both of them are there that night, and they're with this third person named Mook. Not Robbie Mook, like M-O-O-K, but M-O-K. And his first name is Eugene. Now, he's the guy who takes over for our General Flynn. He is in DIA. He starts out at Navy Intelligence and then moves Navy Weapons Supply. He's an executive in Navy Weapons Supply. Now, if this is sounding like drugs in one direction, maybe legal, and weapons in the other, maybe legal, for ISIS, that is what it sounds like to me. There's a medical side of this for the Navy, and there's a Coast Guard side of this for getting stuff in and out, and there's a weapons side, a weapons Navy shipping weapons side of this, if you put all the pieces together. And General Flynn, it turns out, is pushed out after complaining that we're shipping weapons to ISIS in 2014, and it's Eugene Mook that takes his place. So he's summoned here. So Braverman, the reason why they're looking so much on March the 8th is because Braverman said follow the money. Did they follow the money here? Did they follow the money here to the Navy and the Coast Guard and the weapons going to ISIS and the drugs going the other way? Potentially legal. Did they follow it here on the night of the 12th to the Situation Room at 9:45 at night? We'll find out when we see the text.